In a world full of billions of people, there are some individuals who stand out from the crowd. They're unique, extraordinary, and sometimes downright bizarre. Carlos Rodriguez. Get ready to meet Carlos Rodriguez, the extraordinary individual known affectionately as Happy by his friends. Just one glance at his photo will leave you amazed and curious about the story behind his intriguing nickname. Brace yourself because Carlos, against all odds, has not only survived a devastating accident, but also emerged with only half of his head intact. Carlos attributes his unique appearance to a car accident triggered by the dangerous combo of drinking and drugs. It's a tale that began when he collided with a pole, was forcefully ejected through his windshield, and, well, you can probably imagine the rest. Let's just say that the other half of Carlos's head ended up decorating the road. But here's the mind-blowing part. Carlos Rodriguez defied all expectations and miraculously managed to stay with us, ready to share his extraordinary journey. Although Carlos experienced his life-altering accident at the tender age of 14, it's only recently that he captured the attention of the world. His mugshot following an arrest for soliciting prostitution spread like wildfire across the internet. This thrust Carlos and his unconventional head into the viral spotlight. Not great about the reason, though. In a video interview, Carlos had some powerful words of wisdom for the reckless youth out there. And this is how the old boy has come out. That's why it's not good, drinking and driving. No good, kids. Also, prostitution's bad, just want to say that. Maria Jose Cristerna. Tito. Michael Latito was a man with an extraordinary superpower that goes beyond a massive appetite. Sure, we've all seen folks chowing down on a gazillion hot dogs. But what sets Michael apart is not just how much he eats, but what he eats. Prepare to have your jaws drop. Michael possessed an absolutely mind-boggling ability. He could devour and digest almost anything, whether it was meant to be eaten or not. This dude was born with a genetic twist that made his stomach and intestines rock solid, with thicker linings than your average Joe. This supercharged digestive system allowed him to chomp down on things that would make the rest of us squirm. And that's not all. Michael was blessed with not one, but two sets of teeth. That's why he earned the epic nickname of Mr. Eat-All, because he devoured everything under the sun. We're talking light bulbs, rubber tires, and brace yourself, even an entire plane. Yeah, you heard that right, a whole freaking airplane. However, it is worth mentioning that he didn't gulp down a plane in a single sitting. Michael worked his way through them over a span of a few years. Sadly, our champion of extraordinary eating is no longer with us. He passed away from natural causes back in 2007. Mehran Karimi Nasseri. Just imagine spending almost 2 decades of your life in an airport terminal. Hard to fathom, but that's exactly what happened to Mehran. He had a pretty tough start to life after losing his papers and identity while traveling to Britain in search of his mother. Unfortunately, he found himself trapped in a legal loophole and ended up residing in the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. This was all from 1988 to 2006. For nearly 20 years, Mehran lived in the terminal, making it his home. Slept on a bench, grabbed a bite to eat from Mickey D's, and read books to pass the time. Despite his circumstances, he remained remarkably stoic and even developed a routine for himself. He spent his days observing the hustle and bustle of travelers, making convos with airport staff and tourists. Heck, he even learned a few languages there. Over the years, his unique story earned him the nickname Terminal Man, and his remarkable resilience made him a source of inspiration to many. His story was so fascinating that it even inspired books and movies, including the film The Terminal starring Tom Hanks. Sadly, Mehran passed away in 2022, still in the same airport where he had spent most of his life. Despite the difficulties he faced, his story remains an inspiring testament to human resilience and the power of the human spirit to endure even in the most challenging of circumstances. Nagawk. While the rest of us rely on those precious hours of shut-eye to function, Vietnamese wonder Nagawk seems to have made sleep optional. Believe it or not, he hasn't experienced a good night's sleep in nearly half a century. Or at least that's what the reports say. Thai's sleepless saga began over in 1973 when he was only 31. One fateful night, he was hit by an intense fever that plunged him into unconsciousness, and when he finally did regain consciousness, something strange happened. He didn't fall asleep again. It was as if sleep had become a distant memory for him. He's a hard-working farmer tending to his crops and taking care of his pigs, often during the nighttime hours. It's kind of like he mastered the art of functioning without sleep. Doctors have scratched their heads over Thai's condition, unable to explain why he doesn't seem to require the sleep that the rest of us so dearly rely on. Tatsuo Hiroshi. Japanese artist Tatsuo is about to change the way you think about Excel forever. For over 15 years, this artistic wizard has been using Microsoft Excel to create stunning works of art. Picture it now. Delicate depictions of mountains, cherry blossoms, and lush forests, all meticulously crafted with Excel. At 77 years young, Hiroshi has waved goodbye to pricey painting supplies and even basic drawing programs, and said he found his creative sanctuary within the vast world of Excel. You might be wondering, why Excel of all things? Well, according to Tatsuo, it's all about the functions and ease of use. He believes Excel has more tools at his disposal than Microsoft Paint, making it the perfect canvas for his artistic endeavors. Using the program's simple vector drawing tools, which were initially designed for graph and basic shapes, Tatsuo conjures up breathtaking panoramic scenes of rural life in Japan. To this day, Hiroshi continues to astonish us with his incredible artwork, all crafted with the familiar tools of Excel. He swears by its user-friendly interface, claiming it's even easier to use than Microsoft Paint itself. With each stroke of his digital brush, Hiroshi brings to life scenes that transport us to the serene landscapes of Japan. Amina, the woman without a face. The story of Amina is one of resilience, faith, and perseverance in the face of adversity. Amina was born without a natural face, and she breathed through an abnormal mouth. Despite her parents' efforts to help her, a tumor grew, covering her face and causing her great difficulty. The challenge is that Amina's face only increased as she grew older. People often called her a beast and they would run away from her. Even the priest who baptized her was terrified. Despite all of these difficulties, Amina never gave up. She lived a difficult life since birth and now has a hearing problem. Often she goes hungry and relies on God to provide her with food. Her faith in God has been her constant companion throughout her life. Despite her condition, she was surprised when she got married at the age of 30 and had 2 children with her husband. However, they eventually separated due to a misunderstanding. Now in her 70s, Amina's faith in God has only grown stronger. She's a devout Muslim who loves to pray and follow the guidelines of her faith. Amina has difficult seeing and often falls or takes wrong turns, but she never lets that stop her. She also suffers from high blood pressure and sometimes goes days without food. When she does eat, she makes sure the food is soft enough to pass through her gut. Throughout her life, Amina has faced many challenges, but she's never let them defeat her. Her faith, courage, and determination have been an inspiration to everyone who knows her. Amkari Panwar. Normally, women wrap up their baby-making days in their 40s. It's a known fact that going beyond that age can be risky for both mama and the wee ones. Yeah, it can bring a whole heap of potential complications. However, pregnancies in their 50s and beyond still raise eyebrows because they're quite rare. Yet rare does not mean impossible. Brace yourself for the tale of Amkari Panwar, a woman who defied the odds and popped out twins at the age of 72. Yeah, you heard that right. This Indian lady had the guts to go for it and successfully gave birth to a bouncing baby boy and girl. But before you go thinking it was some kind of bizarre accident, let me tell you it was all thanks to the wonders of in vitro fertilization. Now, these 2 little miracles came into the world healthy, albeit a tad bit early. But here's the kicker. Giving birth at such an age nearly cost Amkari her own life. Nonetheless, the happy families now live in a happy life. See you all next time.